Hey Morningstar, I've been reading through the New Testament book of Galatians in my daily devotional, and Galatians is the Apostle Paul's letter that deals primarily with the question about whether Gentiles had to be circumcised and become Jews in order to become a follower of Jesus. In other words, was the Jewish law then binding on Gentile Jesus followers? Well, apparently there was this other apostle, not Paul, spreading the heresy that, Gentiles had to first become a Jew and then, take all the requirements of the law on before becoming a Jesus follower. And Paul's taking a strong stand against that. He's saying that Jesus and His grace is all that's needed. Making a law a requirement was actually denying the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, negating the power of His amazing grace. And that's a great reminder. It's a great reminder for me and all of us that salvation is about Jesus and His work, period. It's not about Jesus' atonement on the cross, plus our good deeds, or plus our church attendance, or plus our Bible reading and prayers and whatever. It's Jesus plus nothing else. So at the end of Paul's letter, he's tying all this up, and he's admonishing Jesus' followers in Galatia to now live by the Spirit. Being led by the Spirit instead of being led by the law is freeing, but it also requires a tremendous challenge, a challenge to those of us in Christ, and namely the challenge of surrender, laying aside our will and let Jesus live His life through us, which is exactly what we've been talking about, right? Exactly what we've been talking about in this all-church study, flesh. Interestingly, Paul goes on and takes a different tack on flesh than Hugh Halter does. In Galatians 5:16-18, he writes, "So I say, walk by the Spirit, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. For what the flesh desires is what is contrary to the Spirit, and what the Spirit desires is contrary to the flesh. They are in conflict with each other, so that you are not able to do whatever you want. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law." So let's put these two things together. The truth is that our flesh can inhibit us from making Jesus flesh in the world today. Our own struggle with surrendering our will to God's will is one of the biggest threats to incarnating God's love in His kingdom in our community and world. Keeping our schedules so crammed with our own stuff that we have no room to spend time with our neighbors, not being able to do random acts of kindness in our office or neighborhood, not being able to serve in our kids' school or volunteer to help coach a basketball team, eat lunch with a friend or coworker who's going through a tough time, or even given an hour to volunteer at church twice a month. So friends, here's the challenge. Take a good look at your life. Look at the opportunities to do what Pastor Keith Scarborough challenged us to do this past weekend, to take time to listen, love, and then bless others. And listen, when we crucify our flesh, we can actually be the church and make Jesus known in our world today. Crucifying our flesh makes Jesus flesh to all of those around us. So be the church this week, and I'll see you in worship this weekend. God bless you guys.